You've tuned in to the Top 10 Garden Show with garden expert Ken Lain. Join the conversation daily as he answers timely garden questions. Email Ken a question directly from your phone to his desktop through the web at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Or visit face-to-face throughout the week where he can be found at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Now welcome your host, Ken Lain.
So each month, the team here at Waters Garden Center, we're professional horticulturists. We look at which plants look their best each month. So March, which plants go together and shine in March, and then April, then in May and June. Every month we rotate through. Thought I'd share this month's collection of companion plants we planted now that like to thrive in the same gardens. We try to pick a tree, a shrub, a perennial, an annual. We try to get the whole layered stuff together, but Fanciful Forsythia, it's heavily budded right now. In fact, I'll bet it's starting to bloom already on those east exposure like Jerome, Cottonwood, Camp Birch, Sedona. You're probably already in bloom. Here, they are cracking and starting to bloom here in this other side of the hill in Yavapai counties. And so Forsythia is a great plant for the mountains of Arizona. Now, most of your perennials, that is perennial shrubs, this is like companion with Forsythia, are lilacs and quince, and there's all these early spring bloomers. But Forsythia sets the stage. It blooms first. And the way you can tell it, if you're driving through a neighborhood and this shrub about head high, if you just never prune them and they're ancient, maybe they get 10, 12 feet tall. But really, they're usually kept down to that chest to head high level. Like you prune them when they're done blooming, you just keep them smaller, daintier. They're covered in like lemon yellow flowers. It's like crazy yellow. There's no foliage, all yellow flowers. It's so wild. It's like glowing, and it's just like you turn a light switch on and it's sitting there glowing in the landscape. That's Forsythia. It'll bloom like that for about a month and a half, and then it starts to leaf after that. When it gets done blooming, it'll drop that foliage. As it leaves out, it pushes off the flowers and the foliage takes over, and it's this very handsome, thick, like hunter green shrub. The beauty is you get the spring blooms, get the nice green in summer, you get the beautiful like an aspen gold fall color, but animals, they don't bother Forsythia. It's one of the, if your neighbors are feeding the deer, there's very few plants you can actually grow in your neighborhood because they're just brought in. So you took all the choice and went down to, here's your 10 choices. Forsythia would be at the top of the list. It's a great plant for your, loves full sun, takes our wind. It's got all the things you kind of want. It takes our crummy soil and doesn't take a lot of care. That's a great plant, very deep-rooted, very strong. A companion with that is a step down, the perennial that goes with that. It's also in bloom right now. It's called mountain heath. Heaths and heathers, they're kind of an alpine plant. So they're high altitude. So they love bright days, cold nights. They just love that. Heath has got this real ferny evergreen foliage. It's evergreen, but it's not a leaf. It's not a needle. It's something in between, but it's very soft. But right now it is in glorious color. I think there's 3 colors, like pink, white, and apple blossom. They're just covered. There's so many flowers. It's got a bell-shaped flower, much like a manzanita has. Only manzanita has a few dozen flowers. This has hundreds. So many, you can't see the foliage. That's why it's so beautiful. Grows in containers, grows in the sun, grows in the shade, gets up about knee high and then spreads out about maybe twice that wide. Nice mounding evergreen plant. And I have personal experience. The elk did not eat Heath, had it right there in full sun out in Skull Valley. That's at 4,200 foot level. So I know it'd do well over in Camp Verde and Sedona, Cottonwood, Cornville. I know it'd do well in Kirkland, Hillside. It just would do well. Of course, it does well in Prescott Valley, Prescott, Dewey, this area. Really likes growing here, and they bloom about the time. Actually, the Heath will bloom before the Forsythia. Then it's Forsythia. And then the next one that goes with that is Redbuds. Redbud is the tree that we picked for the month of March. So redbuds have a heart-shaped leaf. It's about the size. Just make a heart with your hand, and that's the size of the leaf. It's a native. So there's a western redbud that grows wild here. You'll just see them out in the forest. A pink blooming flower. Well, it's such a hardy, strong plant that is easy to care for that we're introducing or creating new varieties, new colors. And so Eastern redbud is one that's famous in the Midwest, East Coast. They're cousins. And then we're coming up with Oklahoma redwood, very bright pink. We've got a Merlot, which has red foliage instead of green foliage. The flower is the same, pink, bright pink, but the foliage is now purple. Same heart shape, same size, same hardiness, but purple. We've got one called Flamethrower. It's gold. Comes out gold, and then it has red tinges to it. It looks like a flamethrower coming out. It's very cool. Same bright flower, same size leaf, same hardiness. So now's your best chance to pick all these different varieties, and they're all companions with each other. So there's a few more I could go with. What else is companion with this? Pansies, peonies, rosemary starts to bloom now. So those are all the companions of March you can plant in your yard and have a stunning yard. But I'll be right back after this. Something very special happens next weekend. This is March 15, 16, 17. For 62 years, we've celebrated the start of the spring season here at Waters Garden Center. And the way we do that is we've got special classes, giveaways, raffles. Mainly, we bring in the growers that are developing these new plants here at Waters Garden Center. They feature them. So I bring them in, make them famous. They make sure they bring some of their latest, greatest, like this batch isn't supposed to be released until next year, the end of this year. They bring them they show them off. And so I get the experts coming to Waters Garden Center. They're going to teach the class on Saturday at 9:30. I'm just going to line them up and say, hey, Chris, how did you actually develop this new desert willow? How'd you come up with that? And so he's a great storyteller. He'll share how his family has created. He's one of the foremost gardeners. He probably has more patents under his family's name than we have socks in the drawer. It's amazing what kind of new plants are coming up with. So they're hanging out here. They'll show off the plants. Friday at 3:00. That's this coming Friday, the 15th. It's plant happy hour. I'm going to present what I see as the new plants. The growers will do it on Saturday. I'll kind of show off. It's much more casual. Friday at 3, and it's just an opportunity to see the latest, greatest things. We are filling the garden center up right now with the plants, getting ready for spring 2024. You're welcome to join us. It's going to be fun all weekend long. Lots of plants going off, just lots of classes, lots of experts, horticulturalists everywhere. Lisa and I will just camp out on Sunday, just answering questions underneath the front greenhouse. So you get the foremost horticulturalists here in the county, probably one in the state, right here all Sunday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, March 15, 16, 17, 62nd Spring Open House here at Waters Garden Center, Prescott, Arizona.
The Top 10 Gardener, your source for timely garden advice, seasonally correct for the garden, guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.